Yo, what's going on, man? Welcome to another edition of the Players Ball Podcast, where we cover all sports far and wide. I'm your host, Roddy. Go ahead and follow us on Instagram at the Players Ball Podcast. Follow us on Twitter at the Players Ball 1. And then go ahead and give me a follow at Roddy404 on both platforms. Now, I know we took a couple of weeks off. It's been a lot of things going on in life, but I'm so glad to be back here with y'all. And most importantly, my own family. I felt like, since we were away, the theme was family, so we had to come back with family as well. We have none other than my beautiful aunt with us, the sports guru extraordinaire, all things Atlanta sports, Miss Kim Whitlow. How you doing today?
Doing good, Roddy. Doing good. Thanks for having me. I've been waiting for a long time. I'm excited and I'm ready.
I love it. I love to hear it. And she told me she came prepared, so that's even better, because some of y'all that's watching this, that's been on this show, y'all know, y'all be like, hold on, bro, I got to do this, that, and the third. She texted me at 7:28 on the dot and was ready. So, forewarning, the precedent has been set, for real. But I do want to start off in the NBA. We're going to go both, in basketball and with football, since, everything's kind of settled down with the draft happening. Free agency has took its course as well. So we'll get into that a little bit later. But I do want to start off with probably the biggest story of this past week, which is everybody showing up to Chris Paul's grave and just stomping, spitting, kicking, doing whatever they want to do to his grave. So from your perspective, as a person who's been watching Chris Paul as long as any of us, do you hate him that much? Do you not like his antics? Because there are people who think he's gritty and, he does whatever it takes to win. And then there are other people who are irritated by it. So how do you feel?
I do like Chris Paul. I think I'm old school and Chris Paul is old school. I've been following Chris Paul from day one, when he was at Wake till now. So I think Chris Paul is hated so much by these younger guys because he's got that clean cut image. So many guys nowadays, and I just hate to single out millennials, but most of the superstars in the NBA right now are millennials. Chris Paul, even though he's 37, he's old school. He flopping, trying to get and he gets the calls. And I was listening to Patrick Beverly call him a cone. I just found that to be so hilarious. And then Patrick was tooting his own horn, comparing himself defensively to Giannis. I was like, this dude is losing his mind. I was just like, what in all the world is going on here? But Chris Paul has that clean cut image. He hasn't been in the news much. He's a family man. You haven't heard about him stepping out on his wife like the older cats. You see him most basic time. You see him with his son and his daughter. And I think that it might be a little jealousy, envy going on there with these new cats, and they just and they don't know how to take them. Chris Paul at one point was the president of the Players Association. So I mean, he his resume, he has the resume, and I just think that Pat might just be throwing a little hate, a little shade on my boy Chris, and I just don't understand why.
I asked the same question because and it's kind of like Dave Chappelle when he was in his stand-up, like, who the hell is asking for Ja Rule's opinion in a time like this? Like, what? And I know what it is. It's because he was on Twitter mouthing off during the game, and everybody kind of was gravitating towards what he was saying. Now, was this premeditated by ESPN? Like, did they tell him, go ahead and tweet, in the case that they lose, we're going to have you live in the studio tomorrow? I don't know. But I just felt like it was kind of whack to me that, I mean, again, like you were saying, yes, you were criticizing and critiquing Chris, but then you started tooting your own horn. So now we kind of drifting into the territory where it's like, okay, Are you here to just push narratives and make yourself look bigger and take away from, by the way, the L that you just took 2 rounds ago in the playoffs? Actually, like I'm not understanding how you can have that much confidence and bravado, but I guess when you're a professional athlete, it just comes natural. I don't know.
Yeah, and how many times have you saw Stephen A and the Get Up crew have someone come in to the studio? Like it's like Pat Bev been on a worldwide, well, I ain't gonna say worldwide because he hasn't been around the world, but a nationwide tour, just kind of like tooting his own horn, like, bruh, go somewhere and sit down. You know, I mean, you are not an analyst. Just go somewhere and sit down. Really, just sit down. So, you know, I mean, even for him to say, like, nobody goes to bed early or prepares for Chris Paul. But he was also saying, like, if he knew he had to guard a Steph Curry, it's lights out at 8:00. He tells his mom and his girl, like, you can't call me because I have to prepare for Steph Curry. So where's the respect? I mean, granted, Chris Paul might retire from the NBA without a championship. But, I mean, he's going to go down as one top 10, if not top 7 point guards in NBA history.
Yeah.
I mean, Pat Bev wasn't even Defensive Player of the Year. But you tooting your horn and comparing yourself to Giannis. I'm not understanding.
Yeah, and that's why I say it's gotta be just a publicity ploy. Like that's the only thing it could be because, and just to go back to what you were saying about Chris Paul, he's gonna go down, like you said, as one of the 10 best point guards to ever play the game. I think a lot of the times, and to go back to the millennials thing as well, we often like need that validation of a championship. Like, no, this man is. First of all, he's made hundreds of millions of dollars. He's played basketball at a high level. His name is going to be in the record books. If he don't have a ring on his finger, that's cool. But I don't think we should be devaluing him because he lost. Yes, he's had some embarrassing choke jobs. We get it. Like I totally understand. But I love the jokes. The jokes are cool. We can do all of that. But if we can't get serious and actually give the man, you know, real credit and real love, then I feel like we just being disingenuous, honestly. So that's was real interesting for me to see everybody kind of, you know, act crazy about this loss because everybody expected the Suns to win the series. Obviously, you see them go through a season so successfully and basically not have a ton of issues with teams like Dallas. And then end up losing to him in a 7-game series. So it's different in the playoffs. That should be the messaging, I think, more than, you know, this guy choked. Even though he didn't play well, I just think, you know, the playoffs are a different animal. So
yeah,
it is what it is.
And even to the point, and I'm going to just say this last thing about it, even to the point where Patrick Beverly said, I mean, to Stephen A, that if he had been Monty Williams, he wouldn't have started Chris Paul. How in the world? Who you gonna start? Bridges? I mean, at any given night, his shot's not falling. I mean, who you got?
Yeah, I mean, campaign off the bench. Like again, it's just being petty. Like there's no, he knows basketball. Like we can't even sit here and question it. And I don't know if you also saw, he went on Stephen A's little solo show that he has on ESPN Plus, and he's saying all of this is stemming from back when he was at one of them camps when he was a kid, and Steph was his roommate in the camp, and he went up against CP3, and, you know, he basically destroyed him, and I guess CP3 kind of punked him or whatever, and it's just like, man, these chip on their shoulder guys, like a Baker Mayfield in the NFL is one of these guys.
Oh, yes, my goodness, yes.
Yeah, like, it's okay, you made it. Like, you made it. You really made it. You don't have to continuously try to validate yourself by just doing antics like that. That's what it feels like. It just feels like antics. So
yeah.
I'm gonna be interested to see how much more Patrick Beverly we see during these playoffs. If it's not a lot, it's gonna tell me and speak volumes. But if we do, then maybe he's their new content machine. I don't know. It is what it is.
Yep.
But I want to get into the series that's actually taking place tonight. Game 2. Game 1 happened. I think that was what, Monday or Sunday. I can't even remember.
Tuesday.
Oh, it
Today's
was.
Thursday. It was Tuesday.
Jeez. Whew, okay. Yeah. Tells you how my week's going. So basically, the Celtics came out hot.
On fire.
They really looked like they were fueled by that win against the Bucks. Obviously, a game 7 is going to be emotional. So when you go into another series, different matchups, different strategies, different things to prepare for. It's positive to see that off the front end. But I think as the game went on, you truly saw how good of a team Miami is. And I know everybody counts them out because yes, Jimmy will score 40, but it's not going to look like Steph. It's not going to look like KD. It's not going to look like, any of these other guys in the league. It's going to be nasty buckets. It's going to be ugly basketball. So I want to see how you feel about this series. And do you feel like the Heat are getting enough credit? Because the Heat fans that I speak to on Twitter, they're acting as if like we're just saying they're complete trash and they have no chance.
Well, I believe the Heat have a chance, but also you have to take into consideration that the Celtics was playing without the defensive player of the year Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
He's probable for tonight. I don't think that if Marcus Smart had been in the lineup, the second half that Jimmy Buckets had, I don't think he would have went off like he went off in the second half. And I think it might have been a different outcome because Boston truly was on fire. And like you were saying, even though they might have been, kind of hung over from that emotional win against the Bucks Sunday, Boston is a good team. What the average is 23. What 23-year-old, gets tired? It's just another day. Tatum, he is insane. But but as far as Miami has a good 6-man and hero. He can definitely shoot the rock. But I just think that maybe things might have been just a little different Tuesday if Marcus Smart had been in the lineup. Because Boston is a good team.
Yeah, and that's what I was telling people too. In the first 2 series, Miami was dealing with bad defenders. When they do pick and rolls, every time the picker and or the roller switches, it's gonna be Trae Young, it's gonna be Kevin Huerter, it's gonna be James Harden, it's gonna be Tyrese Maxey. So it's guys that you're not really scared of defensively. But like you said, when you have the defensive player of the year, the first one since Gary Payton, like it's not it's like he's just doing something, I had a good season. Like this is something we haven't seen in 30 years. So you have him, and then you have Tatum and Brown, at minimum top 15 wing defenders in the league as well. So that's what I feel optimistic about for the Celtics. I think they can really frustrate Miami in a way that they haven't seen yet. But again, like Miami just continues to prove me wrong. Like they continue to say, okay, yeah, this is how they can beat us. This is the strategy to beat us, but we're going to adjust to your adjustment. We're going to say, okay, you're trying to beat us this way. Well, we're a very diverse and multifaceted team. We can beat you by shooting the lights out. We can beat you by beating you down on the boards and getting you in foul trouble. We can do whatever you really want to. So when we have guys like PJ Tucker, like Max Strus, like guys who don't really care about scoring that much. They just care about making your life difficult. It makes it hard for me to count out the Heat. I really do think they could win this series.
They could, but if they win, I think it's gonna be a 7-game series regardless. Boston has to win tonight for it to be a 7-game series. I think if Smart comes in, he takes a little bit of the ball handling away from Jaylen Brown because Jaylen Brown can be a turnover magnet sometimes. I'm just gonna be honest. The way Boston was handling Miami Tuesday, I was like, well, you know what? This game is over. I'm just gonna go on and go to bed. But I was just really shocked to turn on the TV Wednesday morning and see where Miami had came back and beat them. But I think a lot of it had to do with Smart being out the lineup. That just
Mhm.
that defensive stop. Just they were just missing it because
Yeah.
Williams in the paint when even though he's not 100%, he is going to be a beast. He is a beast.
Mhm.
He blocks everything that comes down the line, down the
Mhm.
lane. He is a beast. Good defender. He can even come out and guard a guard if need be.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
but they got to get tonight. They got to get a win tonight in Miami. If they don't
Yeah.
get a win tonight in Miami, Miami might handle it in 6, but they got to get this win tonight.
I definitely agree. And for everyone who doesn't know, the Heat are still undefeated at home in the playoffs. So it ain't gonna be easy. But I do agree they definitely have to get this one tonight because if they
Yeah,
don't get this one, then they definitely have to get two in Boston. And I think the Heat can, I mean, again, like they don't care to make it look good. Like if the score is 89-80 and they win,
yeah,
cool, they're going home happy. So
yeah,
I really think they got to win tonight. They definitely do. And we'll be interested to see where this series goes. I think this is the better series out of the two as we transition to San Fran last night. And it was a smoke out too. I mean,
yeah.
I would
They
just
took
be
them to the
honest.
woodshed. That old school. They took them to the woodshed last night and gave him a good old butt whipping.
And look, I know Tupac is from the Bay Area, so I was really analyzing that first half, and it was how do you own it? It was literally, the Mavericks. And look, I said this on Twitter as well. They are coming off of a game 7 on the road,
Yes,
so after their game 7, they're having to go to San Fran directly after that. So this is like a quasi like road trip type of thing.
right,
So yes, they had the extra day off, more days than the Celtics did,
right.
but it's still unfamiliar. You're still not at the crib. You still got to get accustomed to a new team, new game plan, all that stuff on the road. So it is something that, I kind of shoot them bail for. But as I watched last night, I'm finding a very difficult time to say this series is going to be close. Like this series might be over in 5 games. I want to see how you feel though.
Yeah, because Poole is playing out of his mind. Poole is making Golden State look like they really don't need Klay Thompson in the future. Do you know what I'm saying? They could put
Yeah.
him at the point, slide Curry over to the shooting guard. Oh my God! And because Klay, pure shooter, one of the best ever. But those leg injuries, he's a step slower than what he was. But Poole and Otto Porter, they are playing out of their minds.
Yeah.
And then Luca, even though he gets all this praise and stuff, Luca really needs to get in shape. He looked real slow and
Hmm.
real tired last night.
Yeah.
I don't know what he does on the off seasons, but this off season, he might want to, he could lose 20 pounds and build some muscle. And he's already a beast because he has everything in his repertoire. He can
Mhm.
shoot lights out because he took
Mhm.
care of Phoenix in game 7, literally in the first half. Phoenix
Yeah.
was done. And Luca
Mhm.
did that, and he was taunting them as he was doing it.
Mhm.
But as you say, the little game 7 emotions, and then what? Dallas is in Central, and they out in Pacific, so there's a 2-hour time difference. But they kind
Yeah.
of should have got used to that when they were in Phoenix, so they should be okay as well
Yeah.
as the time. But I just think that Golden State, when they stretch you out and everybody is hitting like they was hitting last night, and
Mhm.
Wiggins has showed up to the party to play defense, I just don't think they can be stopped. I just
Yeah.
because Golden State literally, if Peyton was healthy, could go 10 deep, just 10
Mhm.
deep, and
Mhm.
wouldn't miss a beat.
Mhm. Yeah. And they're probably the only team in the playoffs left that can do that, and you wouldn't call them like crazy for it whatsoever. And let's be honest, like we haven't called Steph's name a lot this playoffs. We haven't said his like he's been dominant. Yes, he's had great games, and yes, he's hit a lot of threes because he's Steph. But even him not playing well, if you're watching the games, you're seeing him make when he gets double teamed that pass that leads to an easy layup, or he's they're running that play where it's just a simple back cut and he gets an easy layup.
Right.
So I think with the Warriors, their real strength is the fundamentals. Like a lot of basketball has been complicated with analytics and everything, with it, trying to make sure you're as precise as you can be with the game. But sometimes you just got to be a team that passes the ball really well. You got to be a team that sets screens really well. You got to be a team that can handle backdoor cuts and bounce pass really well. Like it's just simple stuff like that. If you can do it on a consistent basis, you can be a championship level team. And I think that's what the Warriors thrive on. And I think the Mavs are going to come into difficulties because, yes, we know Luka's going to show up. I don't think he's going to play as poorly as he did, last night. But still, it's how much more are you going to get from these other guys? How much is Spencer Dinwiddie going to show up? How much is Dorian Finney-Smith going to show up? All these other guys, and defensively, they have to be there too, because it's not like they're playing the Jazz again where, they don't want to throw the ball to Rudy Gobert. They just doing slow half-court offense. Or the Suns where DeAndre Ayton be tripping sometimes. Chris Paul wasn't playing well. It's like, no, Jordan Poole's moving every time he's on the court. Steph is, Clay is. So you just got to be aware every single second of the game, honestly.
Yeah. And here's another thing. Steph led the team last night in rebounds. He had 12 rebounds. He led the team in rebounds last night. Mm-hmm. I mean, if he can do that, because Golden State in game 6, they proved they had 70 rebounds. They brought in. Yeah. They had 70 rebounds in game 6. Steph led. So here's the thing. Golden State has been there. Mm-hmm. This Dallas team hasn't been there. Mm-hmm. Golden State knows how to win. They are proven. So, like you said, if done with Dinwiddie and what's the other guy with the 3 names? If he doesn't show up,
Finney-Smith.
Yeah, Finney-Smith. If he doesn't show up, and they're gonna need one other person to show up.
Yeah.
If they don't show up, we might be getting out the brooms.
I wouldn't be crazy about it either. And everybody's saying, look, Luka hasn't lost a game at home since he's been playing. Again, I get it totally, but I don't know. It's not this ain't that, for lack of a better phrasing. Like it's different. It really is. So I'll be interested to continue to watch this series. I think, like we said, it might be a little shorter than we anticipated.
Yeah.
But the Mavs remind me of the Hawks of last year. Like, really good team. They're going up against a team that we know is better than them. So it's really just about how good of a fight can you put up? How impressive can you look? And even if you don't, get to the finals this year, what can you do now that you've been to this point that is going to get you over the hump in the offseason? So,
right. And how much did game 7 against the Suns take out of them? How much did that 7-game series take out of Dallas? Mm-hmm. Yeah. And can they bounce back from that? And that's the key, because the Warriors had 4 days rest. So we'll see. It's going to be interesting, but we might be talking about the brooms here in a couple of days.
Oof, I hope not for my Luka fans. Luka better than Trey fans, because I'm going to be pushing the Trey Young agenda. I'm telling you that right now.
Yeah.
For sure. But I want to keep it moving along, and we'll go to the pigskin now. Obviously, you are an Atlanta Falcons fan, unfortunately. But I just want to get your opinion on this offseason now that it's pretty much finished. The whole Deshaun Watson saga. Obviously, Matt Ryan is in Indianapolis now. So just talk to me about how you originally felt when, you felt like there was a chance to get Deshaun. Do you feel like it was the right thing for the Falcons to say, hey, maybe we can do this? Or do you think they should have just gave the respect to Matt? He's gotten you to the Super Bowl. He's won an MVP with you guys. He wants to spend his life with the franchise. So how did you feel about, the Falcons kind of attacking him and trying to, recruit him?
Well, let me start with Matt Ryan. Matt
Mhm.
Ryan was with Atlanta 6 seasons too long.
Yeah.
I mean, just for me, Matt Ryan, after the Super Bowl, after that debacle, after we lost the Super Bowl, because Matt Ryan could have easily audible whatever Shanahan called in on those plays and ran something different, because he's a veteran quarterback that had got his team to the Super Bowl. And I think if he had audible and called a different play, it might have been a different story.
Yeah.
Another thing about Matt Ryan can't read defenses. He has never in all of his life in the NFL been able. He cannot read defenses. I don't care what anybody says. Matt Ryan does not understand how to read defenses. So with that being said, and let me just go on and get him out the way. I don't think he's going to be what Indianapolis thinks he's going to be, unless Coach Rich can get him some plays, because he's going to have to throw everything underneath, because he definitely cannot throw the ball down the field. And they have some speedsters at their receivers. So I don't think that the outcome that they would have been better off, to me, keeping Carson Wentz. At least he got an arm, he can get the ball down the field. I don't think they're going to be what they think it's going to be. Now, as far as Deshaun Watson, I would have loved to see Deshaun be a Falcon. I mean, with Pitts as our tied in, and these other receivers that we picked up, the cat out of from the Raiders that we just got. I mean, we could have been unstoppable. But here's the thing about that. Michael Vick burned Arthur Blanks. He had a situation that he was not honest with Blanks about. And I just feel that if Vic had went to Arthur Blank and told him, hey, I'm a little bit in too deep and I don't know how to get out this and I need your help, I think the situation might have been different. And then, so with this all looming over Deshaun Watson, I don't think that Arthur Blank, as the owner of the Falcons, wanted to go down this avenue again. As much as our new general manager might have wanted, and he's out of your team's front office, out of the Saints, I don't think that Arthur Blanks wanted to have to deal with this, because clearly, if Deshaun Watson's name is cleared of all charges, which I hope and pray he is, he's gonna have to serve a suspension, which is probably gonna be 4 to 6 games, if not more. And I just don't think that Arthur Blank wanted that over his franchise anymore, so he passed. And that's just what I think. I just think Michael Vick just left a bad taste in his mouth.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. I mean, again, Mike's whole thing was, it's not only that he didn't come to Arthur. When Arthur came to him, he lied too.
Right.
That's really what killed it.
Right.
And I can see in a situation where, I mean, let's not act like it's like maybe 2-3 women. It's 22 women. So it's not as if this is like a stable situation. And I can totally understand from Arthur Blank's perspective, where, there were a lot of leaks coming out on Twitter and in the media that Deshaun was really interested in the Falcons. And whenever they met with him, whenever they did it, I'm sure that they were probably a little surprised in his genuine interest to try to come back home, maybe rehab his image. Obviously, as a constant attender of Falcons games, that Arthur Blank knows how to market to Black people. Like, he knows how to market.
Absolutely.
And he tries to, which is good. I think that's definitely something that some of these athletes see, and they're definitely hopeful for it. So I can agree with you on that. I really think, just in general, they were like, man, how desperate are we going to look if we do this? And it's no surprise to me that he ended up with Cleveland, because out of the other candidates that were serious contenders for him, they were the most desperate. they are the ones with the biggest title drought. They're the ones that needs the savior from Baker. So that's why, they're doing what
And
they're doing.
they can kind of hide Deshaun through this suspension. Cleveland's not a big market. I mean, even though the
Mhm.
fans are just great, the dog pound is just off the chains. But you know what? You can just kind of hide him in Cleveland, if you know what I mean. We'll
Mhm.
get you through this suspension, and then we'll just slide you in. And the dog pound is still gonna love you, because even if Deshaun has to miss, say, 6 games, he can still come back and lead them to a 10-6, 11-6 record, and
Mhm.
still take them to the playoff. Because what, he was averaging over 300 and something yards throwing per game, and then
Yeah.
rushing. I mean, I don't see Cleveland going anywhere but up with
Mhm.
Deshaun after he gets this behind him. Now with this Baker Mayfield, I mean, I don't know how that's going to look, especially with him. Uh, that 18 million just looming. I mean, I just don't know about that. I mean, they gonna
Yeah.
just got to that's
Count
just
me out.
where did they see 18 million in him? That's what I'm just trying to figure out. Because first of all, he's too small.
Mhm. Yeah. But I
I
mean, I think the 18 million comes from when you have a historical rookie season, it's like really hard to be like, okay, I mean, maybe we don't think the guy is as good as he performed this year, but he did have one of the best rookie seasons in NFL history. So it's like, okay, maybe we got to pay the guy. But he was injured last year. I know a lot of people call me crazy for this, but I be trying to give Baker a little bit of bail, just a little bit of bail, because he was hurt, he was injured. I don't think he is completely worthless. I don't think he's good, but I think he could and should start in the NFL, whether it's on a bad team or wherever he can fit in. But I think he deserves a second chance. I
But where
know
do you
he
see him fitting in? Not where do you see him fitting?
Uh, it's got to be like maybe like a bridge situation. I know it. I don't know. That's the thing. Like, I could have seen him in Seattle when
Well,
Russ
yeah,
left. I could have
yeah.
seen him doing the Seattle thing. I and I know I'm gonna maybe sound crazy. I could have seen him because there are a lot of reports that the San Francisco 49ers don't really know if Trey Lance is going to be that guy. If you can get Baker for the cheap and not give up assets for him, I wouldn't mind bringing him in over a Jimmy Garoppolo. That might be a better option, just because he'll have less responsibility in the offense because, Kyle's the genius or whatever. But yeah, I don't know. It's a finite amount of teams, though. I will admit that. It's not as if he can just go anywhere and maybe revive his career. No, it's got to be a very ideal setting for him to at least look competent, to be honest with you.
What do you think about a Green Bay or even a Colt backing up Aaron Rodgers? Because or even going out there behind Matt Ryan, because I just don't know how Ryan's going to do in a new division in the AFC. I just don't know how that's going to work for them, because they are known for their defense, and only thing we need is for him to be standing in the pocket too long, like he has a tendency to do,
Hmm.
and a TJ Watts or somebody comes and put him on his butts, and he's gone for the season.
Yeah.
That can happen.
Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. And I give him the only credit that he's got the Houston Texans and the Jacksonville Jaguars in his division. So that's 4 easy wins right there. So at least he's gonna have a little bit of a reliever on the schedule that we know of that's gonna be consistent. But yeah, I'm really interested to see how this all plays out. To be honest with you, I want to
Yeah.
see how Matt does, how long they just suspend Deshaun, like you said, because if you look at the structure of his contract, his base salary for this year is only $1 million. So that tells me that they know he might get a 8 game suspension. They might appeal it down to like 6, maybe,
Right,
but
right.
I think they anticipate that he's going to be sitting down for a good portion of the season this year. So I'm interested to see that. And then I'm interested to see the Falcons. I want to really see how they're going to do. Obviously, it's going to be cream of the crop quarterbacks next year.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a different situation. But I did want to get into our last subject since we are talking about the Falcons and their schedule.
Yes.
Because obviously, we going head to head week 1.
Week
Okay.
1. Can you believe it? In Atlanta.
I really can't because they usually save this for like either the Halloweens or the Thanksgivings or whatever. But I guess the outlook on both of our teams this year is that we're not going to be good because we weren't that good last year. But I think, contrary to popular belief, we're going to be much better, both teams. Uh,
Yes.
so just looking at the schedule, what pops out to you as maybe some difficult games, some easy games, some games maybe you can shock the world in? How are you feeling about it?
Well, I'm looking at like our first 4: Saints, Rams, Seattle, and Cleveland.
Mm,
And the Rams and the Seahawks are on the West Coast. So we'll probably, if Atlanta usually does what they do, they'll probably be out on the West Coast for 2 straight weeks. Because usually when they have
yeah,
games like that, they don't come home.
yeah,
That Rams game, they probably gonna run us out because the Rams are, oh my God. I mean, oh my God. Oh
I'm
my
tired
God.
of them. I'm tired of them. So tired of them.
I don't know, but they just keep getting better and better. And then after the Browns, I mean, we looking at Deshaun. That game's in Atlanta now. I don't know what's gonna happen with Deshaun, but it's always a chance. You just never know what Goodell's talking about. We might be able to see Deshaun.
You're
Just
right.
don't know.
Hmm.
That will be very interesting. But just
Yes.
looking at our first 4, ugh, I don't know. If we go 2-2, we will be
That'd
lucky
be
because
impressive.
then we follow that up where we go see Tom Brady. Oh my God. I just
Yeah. Yeah. It don't get easier. And then, I mean, the 49ers defense is good after that. The Bengals
yeah,
were just in the
Bengals.
Super
Oh
Bowl.
my God. Yeah, Joe
Yeah.
Burrows, he gonna and we played in Cincinnati. You know what that's gonna look like.
Yeah, it's gonna be an interesting feat this year. But I don't think that. I mean, and you can look down further on the schedule. I think the Bears are going to be the worst team in the league easily by far, bar none. I don't think it's going to be close. So I think they're going to be the worst team in the league. I could count that as a win. Washington, I don't really love them. I don't really know what they're doing over there.
But Rivera
Pittsburgh,
is a proven coach, though. He can.
he is.
I mean, his defense will win a game for him. It'll be six to
Yeah.
three, and they'll pull it out. You just never. But Mariota, he's a little mobile quarterback, so we might at least he'll be able to get the ball to Pitts. Even though Ryan did get it to him a little bit, but all his yards came after the catch.
Yes,
So
all of them.
short passes and long runs. So maybe we'll
Mhm.
see. And
Yeah,
then it doesn't get any better. Then we see y'all again, and then we see the Ravens.
yeah,
It ain't looking good. If we can pull out 6-10, it's just not looking real good for us.
Hey, I'm telling you right now, be optimistic because, like I said, either Bryce Young or CJ Stroud, they are on the way. Don't even worry. Okay.
Okay,
I
okay,
know, I know it's gonna be a long road to where y'all want to get to. It might be 2 years before y'all
right.
really start seeing the fruits of the labor, but it's kind of similar to how it was back in '08 when Mike got arrested. It's like, okay, we're basically at ground zero now. Let's go ahead and get the talent that we know is proven. Julio Jones, Matt Ryan. Let us, build around them with, different and various talents, both on defense and offense, and let's see what we get. So I definitely think the Falcons are going to be more competitive than we think. And it's the NFL. Injuries happen. Who's to say they don't beat the Ravens? Who's to say they don't beat the Chargers? Who's to say they don't beat the Steelers? It's possible in the NFL from week to week just due to injury variance. So I definitely think there is cause for optimism in the Storm for
Well,
sure.
yeah. Now that you mentioned Pittsburgh, Ben Roethlisberger is gone, and they kind of rebuilding at the quarterback. So but they still got Mike Tomlin. And so, I mean, these coaches, and I just don't know if Arthur Smith is the right coach for the Falcons. I just don't know that he's that one, but we'll see.
Yeah, and I agree with you. I think that Arthur Smith is one of those guys. Maybe he's not really demonstrative, so it's hard to really tell. Like, I mean, obviously he's an offensive guy, but you don't really know what kind of imprint he puts on the players. So it'll be interesting to see, like you said, in year two, he's gonna have a different, chance to kind of connect to these guys and hopefully get through to them. So, yeah. What would be your? You said 6-11 is gonna be your official prediction for right now.
Well, since you brought up another point, I wasn't thinking of when I saw Pittsburgh, I was like, yes, an L. But then I forget Roethlisberger hung it up. I mean, I would love 17 games if we could go. Oh my God, 9-8. But that's grasping. It's just so hard. Our schedule is so hard this year. You just don't know because all these teams that just used to be just laughing at them and just be at the bottom of the division. These are the teams, your Cincinnati's, your Ravens. These are the teams that are just, they doing it. But maybe these pieces that we are adding are going to help us. But I hope. But again, I just don't know if Smith is, because every coordinator is not a head coach material. And I just don't know if he's that material we need to get us where we need to go.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Well, I will be looking forward to this NFL season. It cannot come fast enough. I want to, most importantly, though, thank you so much for joining us on this episode of the podcast. I know, like we said, it's been a long time coming. So please, if you got anything you want to promote, shout out anybody. Go ahead.
I just want to shout you out. I'm so proud of you. And I have just enjoyed just sitting here, just talking sports with you, because a lot of people, don't know it like we know it. And it's just good to be able to talk to somebody to just know the meats and bones of what's going on in all sports. So I just have so I just want to shout you out. And I'm just so grateful for you letting your old aunt sit in and talk a little bit with you. To the fact.
Of course, look, and you will definitely be back throughout the NFL season, and we're gonna see if the NBA finals start popping off crazy. We definitely gonna have you back on as well. So I want to thank you again. I love you. I appreciate you. And again, follow us on Instagram at the Players Ball Podcast. Follow us on Twitter at the Players Ball 1, and then go ahead and follow me at Roddy404 on both platforms. Like and subscribe to the channel, please. It's right there. You're literally looking at it, so you might as well just move your cursor and do it, okay? We will be back next week. Obviously, it's going to be a big week with soccer. The Champions League final in Europe is going down, so we'll have a lot of coverage for that, and we'll have a lot of things going on Twitter as well, so y'all be sure to follow the page. Again, we're going to have a lot of content pumping out. But until we meet again, my friends, we will not take this long of a break again, and I thank y'all for your constant support. All right, we'll see y'all later, man.